It's a blueprint, a rubric, a guiding light to meet deadlines. It's formulaic to Dorothy's court, so give us more of the norm. Come along, it's formulaic.
Hey guys, my name's James.
And I'm Shelby.
Oh, and welcome into Formulaic. I'm so excited, Shelby.
You are bouncing out of your seat.
Yeah, because I have just a little thing to say to you, okay? I've been pondering lately, and I've realized that the dream, it got broken, and it seemed like all was lost. What would be the future? Could I pay the cost? I wonder. Will there ever be a second time around?
Is this because you got divorced from your last podcast co-host and now you've got a new one? We've brought together our podcast families.
Yeah. Oh, man, that would be so cool.
Much like a blended family.
Yeah, a blended family, Brady Bunch-esque, but they're horny.
It is. Okay. Let's enough with the cute stuff. James has been obsessed with the show Step by Step.
Yay.
So we are doing an episode of Step by Step.
Day by day.
Formulaic too. Day by day. James, you gave me a whole list of episodes to watch.
And you watched them all. You're
obsessed
obsessed with this damn show now.
James, I can honestly tell you I'll probably never watch another episode of this again.
Because you watched all of them.
No. That's not it, James.
You watched all 160 episodes. I'm almost there. I've watched all of season 2, 3, 4, 5. The atrocious almost stopped at 6 because holy crap, it's a shit show for many reasons. We'll get into that later. And now we're on season 7. Then we're going to go back to season 1.
That's wild that that's the order you're watching it in.
Well, I started because there was I'm looking for Halloween episodes during Halloween time.
Yeah.
And saw that Step by Step had that. It was like season 2, season 3. So I'm like, oh, heck yeah, I'll watch this. Loved it. Then I'm like, let's go back to the beginning. No. Let's go back to season 2 because I'm pretty sure that if I want to test this, season 2, they got their mojo cooking already. Let's go there. So season 6, oh boy, we'll get into it. But what's up?
Okay. Well, I had never seen this show before.
Whoa.
I did not watch it when I was younger. It is a sitcom from the 90s. Very much Brady Bunch-esque. Like you got a lady with some kids and a guy with some kids and they get married and now they have a whole bunch of kids.
Surprisingly, the only one with curls is the father.
Yes.
Ooh, he's a snack. Oh.
This man is horny all the time.
Okay, here's the thing about Step by Step. It ran from 1990 to 97. Literally everyone besides the cousin who should be the horniest one everyone else is horny as long as they are above the age of, unfortunately, 14. Because once you get there, the writers were like, they're horny. They're boy crazy. They're girl crazy, whatever. When Mark becomes of age, that season, whenever he's on screen, he's so cringy because he's a nerd ass and he's like, "Ooh, mama." And it's like, oh, get him off. But not in that
horrible.
way.
Yeah, they even do it to Al, who's like, she's like this tomboy kid. Mm-hmm. She's just like mad all the time. But then as soon as she hits 14, she's like, the boys don't notice me because my boobs aren't big enough.
Hell yeah, dude. Great app.
No. I mean, it was, though. Though.
There are a lot of episodes that I purposely was like, we could literally, maybe this is the kind of episode we'll do. There is a formula in seasons 2 through about 5 where it is just, the entire plot is one of the in high school daughters is dating a man in college or a professor in college.
Ew.
It's insane, bonkers, crazy, and I don't know why they kept doing it.
I did not watch any of those episodes.
I purposely left those off the list.
Thank you, James. Thank you so much. As I said, I do have a little bone to pick with you.
Yeah, what up? You're addicted to the show now, I know.
No, James. We set out to do this show
yes.
where we take very formulaic TV shows, so it's easy for us to kind of Mad Libs an episode, right?
Yes.
Here's the issue. When you get down to it, all TV, especially sitcoms,
Yes.
are formulaic. Because you got your A story and your B story, and things are happening, and then they come together at the end.
Yes.
And I feel like this show falls more into that generic, all sitcoms are formulaic than like a specific formula.
Well, would you like to hear the formula?
First, I'd like to bring out the other bone that I'm picking with
Okay,
you.
what's up?
Which is that you picked a show that has 10 fucking main characters, James.
No. Oh, wait, no, shit, it does. There's
It does.
6, 7, 8. No, there's 9. There are 9 main characters.
Aren't there 7 kids?
No, there's 6 kids. You have not seen the 7th child. That's not until the end of season 4.
Okay, you're right. There's 9 main characters, excuse me.
And that's why we'll do a
Now-
bottle episode.
We had so much trouble finding people to fill the table read roles.
I brought this up. I was like, well, we'll never be able to. Literally, it is recorded on, I think, the last episode of me saying, well, we can't do step by step. And then you were like, well, we did such a great job getting people together for these episodes. I was like,
You're
all right,
right,
fine,
you're right.
step by step. So this is a bone to pick with you. I was thinking about my friend who has to get together and schedule all the actors. And then you said, hey, I'm cool with it.
I now must turn the bone upon myself, James. You are correct. It's a self-bone situation.
Pick your own bone.
All right, let's hear the formula you came up with for this show.
I was stoned and I just said to Nicole, I was like, hey, I don't even need, this is a month ago. I said to Nicole, I was like, this is the formula of this show, right? And I say it and Nicole's like, yeah, that's spot on. Okay. There is an A plot of a misunderstanding between 2 characters or groups of characters. The B plot is the same exact thing, but instead of a misunderstanding and them not like communicating with each other, it is opposing each other, these 2 characters or 2 groups, that usually ends with a bet. Like they're like, well, let's bet on it. That's so many of the episodes. Then the C plot, especially for season 2, is Cody doing something wacky, which weaves into the A plot, or it's Al, Mark, and Brendan doing something cute together because especially early season 2 and probably season 1, they're like, well, these are children. We can't really just focus on them. Let's have them be a side thing like, hey, Mark's a magician, or Mark brought home a lie detector machine that his teacher bought. That was an insane C plot. But yeah, that's the show.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically any show.
It's
about it.
This one feels so much so, especially with Cody. And there is also, it's so formulaic that there is a sting at the end of most every episode that you'll hear like a, like it's the strings coming in and it's hitting right as a parent, or mainly Cody, is telling some life lesson to a child.
Yeah. I noticed a few things. I didn't come up with like a strict formula like that, but I did have kind of basic things that usually happen in the episodes. One common occurrence is that Frank wants to fuck. Frank is trying so hard to fuck his wife. He's
succeeds.
trying so hard. Why not?
Shelby, real quick, there is an episode where Carol is like, oh, I'm reading this murder mystery book, and Frank every night, this is clearly a Halloween episode, every night is like, these make you have nightmares, please don't do it. And she's like, I'll be fine with this book. Then has a nightmare and always wakes up. So like at the end of I think it's Q4, like before the commercial break, like there's 4 of them. So right before the end of the first cue, it's her pulling out his hair as he's trying to shake her awake. It happens 3 times, and at the end, each time he's like, hey, you got to read something better, like my Garfield books. Pulls out a Garfield, and it's like, ooh. And it's such a stupid joke, and I'm like, wow, they're just making him such a child. The last one ends with her waking up from a nightmare, pulling out his hair, and then she's like, fine, I'm done with this. I'm kaput, whatever. And he says, oh, hey, you want to know what? I got something for you. And then she's like, ooh, or like, I know how I can make you feel better. And then he's like, gotta get the Garfield. And then she said, oh, I thought you were talking about sex. And he pulls from their bedside table and he says, yeah, that's what I am talking about. And puts on a Garfield like beanie cap that has little ears. And he says, meow. And then they start fucking.
No, James,
It is one of the greatest payoffs in sitcom history.
That's why?
It's amazing. Nicole and I had to rewind to make sure we weren't imagining this. So good. Mwah.
That does seem like something you imagine. Another common occurrence is that Frank and Carol are disagreeing about some stupidly gendered thing.
Yeah,
Like she wants the living room to be all floral and pink, and he wants it to be full of sports stuff. And it's like, goddamn, just talk to each other and agree on something.
But he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to go to these stores together with her.
Well, that's his fucking problem. Then she can't make it all pink if she's doing all the work. Jesus. Anyway, the other thing that happens a lot is that Cody gets recruited either in the A story or the B story to do something crazy, like be a judge or invest in the stock market or like be a karate coach, just like or blow up a house. Like they always recruit Cody. Cody's there. Cody's the whoa kind of guy who's like so stupid,
but also very smart.
Well, occasionally he's got like some really good points.
Well, he also canonically has done, I don't know SAT scores, but is always doing better than Dana on the SAT because it's canonical, and I love that it's a reoccurring thing that once a month he likes doing some experience that he's never done. So in season 2, the first episode, Dana's taking her SATs and all of a sudden Cody's in there. And she's like, oh, he's so stupid. He's, this and that. And then they read off a score and it's very good. And she's like, yes, I did so good. And then Cody's like, oh, yeah, I got a 1380 and she got like a 1350. And she's like, what? So they have to she keeps doing it over again and Cody's always beating her. He's very smart, but he's chill, man.
There is a recurring thing where Dana is, underestimating Cody's intelligence and influence. Like when she had to assess him for like a psychology class and she wrote that he was like wacko, and her teacher's like, no, this guy's normal. He's just like creative and a little weird, but you're close-minded.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, Dana gets that a lot. The other common occurrence is that one of the kids somehow gets power over the other kids, like becomes their boss or is managing them in some way, and then is such a jerk about it that all the other kids quit and the boss has to do everything by themselves. That happened more than once.
That happened more than once? I thought it was just the 50 Diners episode.
It was the 50s Diner, but then you remember the envelope licking plot.
Oh, yeah,
where JT becomes the manager of all the younger kids licking envelopes, and then he's so annoying about it that all the other kids quit, and then he has to lick a bunch of envelopes by himself.
There's also that episode where he manages Cody's motorcycle business.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't on the list, James. I only watched the ones on the list.
It's insane that you watched all of them.
I mean, it was like 7 episodes or something.
I thought it was like 12.
Oh, maybe it was like 12, but still, they're only 20-minute episodes. Okay. It's not too bad. And it's really not an unenjoyable show. Like, you put that on and you can do whatever the heck else you want.
Oh, okay.
It's really good background show.
All right. I don't know about that, but I'll take it being enjoyable as a win.
Yeah, there you go. A nice relaxing show. Like, you don't gotta invest too much or pay too much attention. And that's why people watch this kind of TV. Like, there's something really important about this kind of background noise TV, especially in the 90s. Like, that was, this is what people made. People didn't go tune into their TVs to get invested in a White Lotus or something like that. Like, they were turning on their TVs to just have it on while they fold laundry. That's what the 90s is to me. You got Step by Step on the TV and you're folding laundry. And I literally did fold laundry while I watched it.
And they weren't also, today we're going to see a White Lotus, but back then they were going to see a Trite POTUS.
I mean, I guess Joe Biden isn't that trite.
I think Obama's pretty much the like
he's
only
a wacky
cool,
guy.
good one we've
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, Obama's the only cool president we've
Yeah, the non-trite.
still managed to drone strike innocents, but
Nah, man, that wasn't on him.
So I lost my thought. I had a thought in my head and I lost it.
I don't know. Maybe it was, I'm addicted.
It's not that I'm addicted to Step by Step. It is that I think that we can do this.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that we
yeah.
can write an episode of this.
I'm scared.
But it is definitely more, this is less of a Mad Libs an episode together, like we did before. And we're actually going to like be writing a spec script of this TV show. So what I figured out, because we've got some decisions to make as far as A plot, B plot, where we want to fit in these wacky things. How many of the characters are we going to have together? Are we going to do a typical episode of this show? Are we going to do something,
A special.
Special, unusual, which doesn't really fit with sticking to the formula. But here's what I did. Usually we come into this and I have like a list of episode titles or a list of monsters or a list of concepts that we could use. So I noticed that step-by-step episodes are basically just, the names of them are just like generic phrases. So I went to a random phrase generator
Yes.
online. And I think maybe if we do one of these, we could build our A and B plot around this here.
Okay.
You had me watch an episode called Happy Birthday Baby. And I liked that one. I thought that was really well done because it had an A plot and a B plot and they came together at the end. So it's Dana is turning 17, wants to party by herself. But Carol is having trouble letting go of her baby.
Yeah.
Her baby daughter. Frank is trying to fuck.
Ooh.
But again, Carol having trouble letting go of the fact that her baby daughter doesn't need her anymore. So you've got the A plot, or the A plot of Frank and Carol trying to fuck, and then you've got this B plot of Dana trying to have a party without parents around. They end up, of course, booking rooms at the same hotel.
Right across from each
Dana
other.
to have her party, Frank and Carol to have sex, and then they meet up there. So that I thought that was a really well done A plot, B plot episode.
And remember how Patrick Duffy somehow so quickly got changed into that little devil outfit?
He did change into a little devil outfit that said, like, I'm so horny or something on it.
Probably.
Or horny devil, I think it said on his shirt. And he's wearing these little shorts. And he's got Frank and Carol have a very interesting sex life because he's donning costumes.
Both
left
of them
and
are.
Right. No wonder they're together.
Yeah.
No wonder this relationship works out. Even though I believe they only knew each other for like a couple months before they got married. Been there. Anyway, potential episode titles. You want to hear these?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, and then see if any of these spark some creativity in you. Knuckle down.
Oh, damn. There's a lot. We could
There's
go.
a lot.
Yeah, keep going.
Curiosity killed the cat.
I don't want to get into that kind of stuff.
Okay. Dropping like flies.
Dropping like flies could be maybe one of them gets a job at a pet farm.
A pet farm. Oh.
A petting
There's
zoo,
also
I should
this one's
say.
kind of similar. Under the weather.
Under the weather. There's many under the weather episodes, but maybe they go to a cabin and they get reined in, so they go to a vacation cabin, but they have to stay there, and then maybe like someone shows up and they're like, "Is this a killer?" But then it ends up being a cool dude.
That could happen, but that's an extra character we don't want to deal with.
Okay.
Long in the tooth.
Ooh, maybe Brendan lost all his teeth.
Yeah, and Frank is feeling very old at the same time.
Oh, because
Like,
it's his. Oh no, it's his last child's last baby tooth.
Oh, there you go.
Hell yeah.
That's a great idea. Son of a gun. And last one, everything but the kitchen sink.
Okay, all right. That's writes itself.
That writes itself.
Because like maybe Frank is like, oh, I'm a construction worker. I can put in my own sink, but it's one of these new confounded sinks that Carol won in. Or maybe she's moving a sink that is being used in her hair salon up front. And he's like, well, I can do this new one. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Oh, she's thinking about like hiring someone to move the sink. And he's like, well, I'm a construction guy. I can do it. And she's like, well, no, I mean, this person has done these for salons like multiple times. Like they have all this experience and stuff. And I know you're great at what you do, but you don't need to do this specific thing. And he's like, no, how dare you ask someone else for construction help? I'm the construction guy. I'm your husband. I can take care of this stuff.
Yeah. But so a lot of sitcoms, when it comes to family, it's just the writer's room generally pulling from their own life. And Long in the Tooth, I have much more to give because my mom, if no one listens to my other shows, my mom is a parody of a mom sometimes. So much so that she, I believe, still owns all of my teeth.
Oh, no.
So much so that, hey, Mom, sorry, you showed this to me and I think Nicole and maybe another, like an ex of mine. So you're getting roasted for this. My mom still owns the tiniest little rubber band, like think of something that goes on braces, but it's what you pull over a child's foreskin to snip. So I feel like,
what the
I know,
fuck?
it's insane. My mom is a parody of a mom. So at least now, my mom was a little unmedicated back in the day. So she's aware of that. So I think Long in the Tooth, and instead of, it seems like Carol should be the one who's upset about this, but it's actually Frank. He's like, oh, that's the last tooth. And maybe Carol's throwing away like, oh, yeah, just put it under your bed. And then Frank is the one who is very sentimental towards this. I don't know why. We could figure that out, but I like that.
Maybe he's like secretly sentimental because, I mean, we know why. Who wouldn't be sentimental about your little kid growing up? Yeah. That's just a normal thing. But because Frank is like, I'm a man, he thinks that that's a Carol thing. And then this is their gender disagreement.
We don't get a lot of conversation about their past spouses, but maybe Frank, he has not lost, this tooth has been the only tooth throughout these last 2 seasons. This is the last one to fall. And we find out that he used to be like, oh, I would take their teeth. I felt like the tooth fairy, even though I'm still a man, But the wife got the teeth in the divorce. So he's like, I need this tooth and maybe I'll feel complete and be able to. So he needs to get the tooth before maybe one of the kids wants it for some weird fucked up thing that they like to do. Like Al wants it to put on a doll, to make a voodoo doll.
Or she's gluing it to a baseball bat so she can better bash people.
Yes, hell yeah.
No, or I think it's cute if Frank is just like, wow, good job, Brendan, you lost your last tooth. And Carol's like, oh, it is kind of sad though. His last baby tooth, he's all grown up. Because Frank didn't even think about it. And Carol's like, oh, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, why wouldn't I be? And she's like, oh, she kind of puts it in his head. She's like, oh, I just, I would be kind of sad or I was sad when Mark lost his last baby tooth or whatever. Yeah. And then Frank's staring at the tooth the last one. It suddenly hits him that this is his baby growing up.
Yeah.
And maybe at the same time, okay, so that's A plot, right?
Yeah.
B plot, what do we got going on?
Well, do we want the kids trying? So he already has the tooth.
He's got the tooth, but there has to be some kind of conflict. So Frank is staring at the tooth, and he just hasn't thrown it away. He's keeping it.
How would he keep his children young?
Oh, maybe the kids are doing something dangerous. So I'm trying to think of something tooth related so that we can bring it all together. But maybe we can work off the long part. Maybe they're all doing a longboarding competition. And he starts to get worried about during the karate thing where Carol was like, oh, I can't look because Mark's fighting. But then she gets really excited. Maybe it's she sends Frank to go watch the kids do this kind of dangerous activity like skateboarding or longboarding or something. And Frank is like, he's always been fine with it, but now he's the one who's like, oh, I can't watch.
Or we could loop it into more something that is also a coming of age thing. Like he finds out JT just turned 16, 17, whatever he'll be. And then in Port Washington, there's a thing of, hey, there's this long jump, like off from a water tower or something that, hey, we all jump off from that into a lake. It's cool. And he has to, there's also a lot of times where Frank is spying on the children, and a lot of the times he crawls up into a tree and then the tree branch breaks. This also happened to Al once where it breaks and then all of a sudden he's in a car, or in Al's case was a hot tub. Yeah, because her boyfriend at the time was on a ski trip that she couldn't go to, and she was afraid that this easy girl who was there was going to sleep with her boyfriend, even though it's like, well, that's my boyfriend. Or the boyfriend's like, no, I'm with Al. And she's like, oh, and then tree branch cracks. And then she's like, and it was a dangerous looking stunt. It was not a big hot tub. They could have clipped on the side of the tub.
So funny because I did watch an episode where Frank is stuck in a snowstorm with like his new employee who's a hot lady.
Yep.
And Carol is the one who goes up to spy on him to be like, don't try to sleep with my husband.
Yeah.
They just reuse these plots over and over again.
Oh, yeah. This whole like, oh, I'm having a midlife crisis thing, that happened twice for Frank within the run.
Yeah. I noticed there were a couple episodes called like 40 or something, something about being 40.
This is 40.
This is 40. No, it's not. This is 40. That's
Okay.
not 40. This is 40. Okay.
So if we're going like more with the long stuff, I think we should maybe just like focus on like, we don't need to go like too into the long portion. I think we got the two thing.
We got the two thing. We just need a B plot where the kids are doing something. Because we've got this A plot where Frank is upset about Brendan growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because Brendan just straight up disappears in later seasons.
Oh no, the 7th season, he's just not there. Like
he's just not there.
The actor quit acting, and he truly is in the opening not there. He says that says he has 7 children, but there is no, to the point where Mark has the entire room to himself. Like he has his own little desk. Well, Dana, Al, and Karen are still sharing a room.
That's wild. Wait, JT gets his own room?
They turn, because Carol in season 6, which was a shit show, because not only was it just didn't make sense, they aired it out of production order. So you're thrown into like all of a sudden knowing that Carol has a off-site hair salon with this French man, and the season 6 premiere, you'd think like, hey, this will explain everything happening in the season and why this French man's here. They waited to air that, ABC, until the season finale.
That's so weird. Yeah, I was just reading that on Wikipedia that they aired it out of order, and it was very confusing because people started the season being like, who the fuck is Jean-Luc?
Oh, yes, yeah, you know the names, baby.
Okay, so we need a cold open. We need an open here. I'm thinking the kids are doing something vaguely.
So something that would be vaguely dangerous. I'm thinking,
and that knocks out Brendan's last tooth.
I really want Cody stuck in a tree.
Done.
So
okay,
they're climbing, and then Cody goes way too high. Brendan goes up a little bit. He falls down. I've fallen off many a tree. One time fell off a tree. Hey, I got a save point now. I just fell smack down. I guess I was supposed to like hold on. I didn't pull the slack or something. I just kind of swan dived into the ground. And then all of a sudden I was in my room 3 hours later, and people were like, yeah, you were up and talking. I was like, don't remember any of it.
Wow, James.
Yeah.
You were concussed.
Yeah, baby. Many times it's happened. But again, those are save points for your everyday life.
They're save points.
Yeah, I don't have time to get into it. Listen to like, I think episode 2 or 3 of Mostly Love and Lucha. I think it's called Blackout Save Point. So,
okay.
But Cody gets too high, and which, guys, he's not a stoner. Nicole keeps trying to do that slander. He's clean of mind. He's a virgin.
Oh, yeah. This man has never touched a drug, any kind of intoxicant in his life.
Yep. Neither the sweet scent of a woman he's never been intoxicated by.
No, he thinks you should wait till marriage.
Uh-huh.
So we've got the kids climbing the tree. Maybe it's some kind of competition, like who could get highest. And Cody's like, well, it seems a little unfair, but I'll give it a shot. It seems a little unfair because I'm already so tall, but I'll give it a shot. And then we see the tree. And you just have kids, like, dropping.
Yeah.
Just dropping. And, you know, you have, like, Dana looking up, and she's like, wow. She's got to say something snarky. Like,
oh, man, I hate her.
I thought he was an airhead before.
Oh,
but
that's
now
good.
He'll never get down to the ground or something like that. Because she's always dropping those snarky comments.
He's such a space case, even more so now.
Right. Or it's like, well, he is such a space case. If he keeps climbing, he'll be up where he belongs.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Ooh, that's so good, R2. So, yeah, which I want him to stay there. And that's the C plot, is them having to talk to him, which can then loop around to when Frank's like, oh, maybe I went a little overboard. He thinks he's talking to himself out in the backyard. And then Cody's like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then he's like shouting advice from up top in a tree to the point where I think the reason why he can't get down is like there's an angry bird up there and it's just trying to like peck at him and he's like, ah!
So yeah, he tries, but so they need to rig like a pulley system to get like food and water.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Okay, but the opening, we're looking at the tree. The kids, different kids are climbing. They're like, I'll give it a shot or whatever. See if we can reach up to where, and Cody the whole time is climbing. The kids drop down. Brendan falls.
Yeah, let's say it's Al, JT, Mark, and Brendan. Dana and Karen aren't there yet. Also Cody. And Dana will eventually come out, say those snarky remarks at the end because that's what she likes to do. So I think we should like kind of talk out some dialogue during this.
Yeah. Okay.
So who do you want to be?
I don't fucking know.
All right, you're going to be Cody,
Cha.
Al, and I'll be Mark, JT, and Brendan.
Okay. So, like, that tree doesn't scare me. It's not even that tall anyway.
And then as Mark, he'd say, well, based off from the diameter of the tree and the height of it, based on our house, I think logistically we could get up maybe 30 feet before it starts to break.
And then Cody comes out and he's like, wow, I love looking at trees too.
Or like, yeah, this is my looking tree. Oh, you guys discovered my looking tree.
This is my looking tree. And then one of the, maybe JT is like, well, we're thinking maybe it should be a climbing tree.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. And he says, I got $10 on anyone who can climb to the top. And then
Perfect. That's such a JT thing. Yes. He loves paying money.
And then Al could say, $10, let's make it 20. And then JT says, like, no, that's way too much. And then Al says, I know you don't have $10. Why not make it the 20? And he's like, okay, fair.
That's good. And so she starts climbing, but she doesn't get very far before she's like, I got a splinter or something.
Or no, this show would be like, oh, my hooter got
boobs
caught.
got in the way. Yeah, my boobs got caught on the branch. Oh, I hate being a girl.
Yeah, when she falls, that's the excuse she gives. And then
everyone laughs. And she also sticks her chest out like...
I don't think they would laugh because that makes the men in this show uncomfortable.
Not them. The audience laughs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
We got a laugh track going, James.
Yeah, because now they can't razz her. They're like, oh, yeah, woman stuff. Okay. Ooh.
So Cody starts climbing. He's like, I'll give it a try. And he's like, maybe the look-in is just as good from the top of the tree. And he starts climbing. And Brendan starts climbing up after him. And then Brendan falls at some point. And that's when, while Brendan's still climbing, Dana and Karen come out and they're like, what's going on here? You know, and Dana looks at Cody and is like, wow, the space case is finally climbing high enough to where he belongs. I'll think of something clever to write down. I said something earlier that was good.
And then they say, hey, Karen, do you want to get on that? And she says, oh, no, I could never. I just did my nails. And
I just did a French tip. I would, but I just did a French tip.
And then she says, but the bark does match my vest. Something like that.
Right. That's very cute. And she starts like stroking the tree. And then Brendan falls and JT is like, all right, Cody, you made it. I'll give you the $10 or whatever I have. You can come down now. And Cody's like, I'd love to, little buddy, but like, I'm stuck.
I actually, instead of an angry bird, maybe there's he discovers a bird nest later that doesn't have a mother bird. So wants to stay up there too.
That's perfect. Yeah, he's like, this bird needs me.
We should also early on, like Brendan's messing with his tooth and JT like kind of hits him in the back of the head and says, quit messing with that. And he's like, but my tooth is loose. So that sets up like he has a loose tooth. This will be the last baby tooth that falls out instead of just a rando one.
Right. Okay. My last tooth, it's like a molar or whatever. It's his last baby tooth. So he falls. They talk to Cody a little bit. They have a back and forth there. And then Brendan gets up and is like, my tooth came out. I lost my last tooth.
And he's just covered in blood.
Right. And that's when he runs inside because we have to end this little open somehow. He runs inside and Cody is like, well, you're not the only one who lost something. There's a baby bird up here. Also, guys, I can't get down. We established that Cody cannot get down.
Yeah. And then it goes, boo, 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 boo. It's the theme song.
Yes, a theme song, exactly.
And I think we start coming back from commercial, from the theme song. We start with Carol and Frank coming into the kitchen, and they're like, what's the commotion? And they say, Brendan fell off the tree, knocked out his last baby tooth. Oh, also, Cody's stuck up in the tree. And they're like, what? And then there's a pause, and they're like, which one should we handle first?
Right. And they're like, well, Cody's an adult man. He can deal with this.
Or this is a normal, or no, maybe they say, like, is this like the only eating peaches for a month? Or is this just him getting stuck up in a tree? Because I love it when they call back that peaches thing of like, is this just one of his experiences per month that he's trying to do? And they're like, no, we bet him he couldn't go up that high.
And they're like, well, he can handle himself. Brendan, let me see what you got. And Brendan like holds out his gross tooth. And Frank's like, good job. You're finally a man. And Carol is like, oh, it's so sad though. Do you want to keep it? And Frank's like, why would I keep the tooth? And she's saying, oh, it's the last baby tooth. And like you said, he's a man now. And you always want to remember when he was your precious little baby. And Frank's like, that's ridiculous. And then she's like, okay, I'll go throw the tooth away. And he's like, wait.
Uh-huh.
I'll do it. And he holds on to it.
To throw back to my mother, she should say like, well, do you want to keep it? And he's like, no. And she says, well,
yeah.
Why would I want to do that? And she says, well, to complete the set. And he's like, excuse me? And she goes, well, yeah, don't you keep all of your children's baby teeth? And he's like, no. Even if I was, last wife got them. Got everything in the divorce.
In the divorce, I just assumed that their previous spouses were dead because you never see them.
No, they're not, because they're hearkened back to a couple times by them, but never.
Well, then these kids never see their other parent, their other biological parent.
Don't need to,
I guess. Okay, great. So we've got that. We've set up the two plots that we got going on. Cody's stuck in a tree. He's feeding baby birds. And the kids are trying to get like food and drink up to him or something. Yeah. And then we've got Frank obsessed with his kid growing up.
Yeah, I would also love to see Brendan try to like find tooth alternatives because maybe he's like, well, that's my munchin side that I lost the tooth on. So he's like, he'll put a jelly bean in there. He'll put a marshmallow, just trying to find something. And oh no, maybe he's like, I do like my tooth not being out because this is something all Lamberts do, including Cody. And eventually, this is how you know Carol's a Lambert now. They'll put some chocolate syrup in their mouth and drink some milk, then swish it around in their cheeks and then swallow and go, ah.
I don't need my chewing teeth for chocolate milk.
Oh, yeah.
I love that we're doing a Brendan episode because he doesn't get very much now, does he?
He does not.
Okay, great. So after we've got Frank staring at this tooth, and he's like, well, I'll take the tooth. I'll take it. Okay, so what is Frank going to do with this tooth?
I got it. He's a handyman.
Yeah.
He is starting in his work shed, his garage, which it's weird that what's-his-face doesn't live in there. I think what he should do is kind of like make a boy, and he like puts the tooth in, and he's like, that's my baby. Like he's creating a model of a son.
Okay, so what boy-shaped thing would okay, so maybe he's got some wood or whatever. Maybe when the branch fell. Oh. He took the branch from the tree outside. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was still like stuck to Brendan or something when he had Brendan had his tooth in one hand and the branch that he fell off of in the other. And so Frank's like, give me that. And he goes and then he's like, this branch reminds me of Brendan when he was a little baby. And then he starts like whittling it and he puts the tooth in. And he's like, why am I doing this?
Anyone listening is like, well, this is fucking stupid. Like, this wouldn't be in a normal episode. Okay, well, remember the Garfield cap. I think what will happen is Carol sees this and is like, you are going crazy. Like, you notice that this is unhealthy. And he's like, no, you're wrong. And kind of like in that 70s show when what's-his-face got that Corvette and he thought Kitty was pregnant again. She comes out and thinks that he's still painting this Corvette, but then you find out that it's the baby carriage.
Aww.
So I think she comes out and thinks he's still working on this. This is in the end, but I like knowing where we're going to end up, that he is now like making like a locket that has like somehow has the tooth in it, but also Brendan's face, just as like, hey, my son, I'm fine with him growing into a man, but this will be here to remember him always, especially when he's nowhere to be seen.
I love that he's actually like at the end, you think he's working. So he keeps running away throughout the episode. Frank, every time he like tries to engage Brendan in some like cuddling or affection or something, and Brendan is busy trying. He's like, wait, no, this would be the perfect tooth. He's like not interested in cuddling with his dad anymore, And so every time Frank feels a little shunned, he goes into the shed to work on his wood boy. Yeah,
and Carol's noticing him going to the shed too much. So that's when she eventually finds it out.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So where are we starting from? He's got the tooth. He's got the wood. He's like holding them. He goes to the shed. And then he starts whittling this boy. Mm-hmm. And then we got to cut back to maybe Cody in the tree.
Yeah.
And now he's like looking at the baby bird. Because this will be great when Frank goes out and is talking to himself about like nurturing Brendan and not needing him anymore. And he thinks he's talking to himself. Cody will be like, hey, it's just like me and this baby bird.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually you got to let them fly.
Yeah, because always especially when it's with Frank, formulaically, his advice starts from such an absurdist standpoint that eventually like ties in, and it's like, oh wow, this is such good advice.
Okay, perfect. So we cut to Cody. We see Cody feeding the bird, talking to the bird, doing weird stuff, and he's like calling down. Maybe he sees like Dana or something. He's like, hey, I'm kind of thirsty. You think you could toss me up a can of pop or something? And she's like, why don't you just come down and get it?
Or she's like, oh, I'll get right on that. Like she's drinking some soda and there's a like super soaker next to her. She pours it into the super soaker, sprays it up at him. And Cody's just like getting pelted in the face. And he's like, yeah.
Perfect. And he's like, and then the baby bird is also going, ah.
What? Oh, the baby bird is hatched?
And he's like, whoa, it's just like me.
Okay, yeah, all right. I thought it was an unhatched bird.
Oh, I figured it was a baby, but he like couldn't.
Okay, that works better actually.
Or maybe it is an unhatched bird, and he's like, you'll be doing this soon too.
Yeah. What snarky remark would she say like a before and after spraying?
That's great. Because she'll have to say something about animals, like comparing Cody to an animal.
Yeah,
like Dana hates Cody. I don't even know why
There's an episode where she's like, God, he's so stupid. Why could people like him? And then Carol's like, he's actually very sweet and kind. Like, yeah, he's dumb, but he's a sweetie. And then Karen goes, and he's kind of a snack. And it's like,
yeah,
like everyone in the room is like, well, this is exactly why everyone loves Cody. And then she's like, oh shit, maybe you guys are right.
Am I the one who's wrong here?
Uh-huh.
Yes, Dana, you are. I don't know. I can't think of a snarky thing that involves putting pop in someone's mouth with a super soaker.
Maybe she does something stupid like on one of the episodes where they said, let's fall in love American style, where she says, she's like, I'll give you some water Sudsy style, or some bull like or like feeling lucky punk, huh? Sprays it up. And
or
then,
say hello to my little friend.
oh yeah.
That's good.
Or say hello to your little friend for me, and then sprays it up at the bird.
So he's up there. He's got some water, and he's talking to his baby bird. Forming this bond. Mm-hmm. And then we got to go back to then we get to Brendan. He's looking around, and Mark comes in and is like, Brendan, what are you doing playing with my keyboard or something? And he's got a keyboard key that he takes out, and he's like, I'm trying to find a replacement for my tooth because that's my chewing side.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, don't use my keyboard, put those back. And then he puts it back, and then we will, like, as before he leaves, like, Mark will be like, wait a second, you put these back in the wrong order. And Brendan's like, I don't know letters, and then leaves. But after he says, well, don't use something else, not my keyboard keys. And he goes, what else would Mark have? He's like, well, I tried using your telescope, and then not telescope.
The telescope lens or something, microscope.
Like, the microscope is, I always get those two confused. And it's just like covered in drool. Like he was just trying to like set it in there to have one long molar.
Hell yeah. I love this episode where a kid's just gnawing on stuff. And then, so Frank has to come in and be like, hey, what's going on? And, Brendan's talking about using his teeth, and he's like, well, maybe you could just go, eat some mushy food for a while. It's not a big deal. You used to love mashed peas and mashed banana. And Brendan's like, no, I'm a man now, Dad. I need to chew.
Yeah, just bringing it back to chewing. Oh, maybe because he, of course, would have a pocket knife. The pocket knife might have a spoon, and he's like, oh, remember how I'd feed you? And he, like, kind of picks him up, like, and Brendan's like...
tries to scoop him up.
Yeah, and Brendan's wiggling like one of my cats would, and he's like, oh, here comes the mushed peas. And he's like, get out of here, Dad. I chew now.
And so Frank is, like, banished to the other side of the door, and he just looks really sad. And Carol comes up and she's like, hey, how's everything going, Frank? I was thinking maybe we could put on a little music and explore each other's bodies.
Yeah.
And Frank is like, oh, not now. I gotta go do something in the shed.
No. She heard the chewing thing, and then she's like, well, I know something I could chew off. And then he's like, hold on, ma'am, I need to go.
And then we cut to him in his shed with his little wooden boy, and he's like fake spoon feeding.
Hell yeah. And he says, what's like a wood pun for Brandon? Branchin.
Yeah, he calls him Branchin. Open up wide, little Branchin.
Here comes the airplane.
It's so... And then maybe someone knocks on the door of the shed, and he like puts everything aside and is like, he tries to cover. He's like, oh, no, nothing's going on here. I'm not doing anything. And then who's at the door?
Because I think the washer and dryer are in there. It could be Karen or Dana, or maybe Al doing some like cleaning her jerseys. I think it should be Al. Al comes in and is like, sup, Dad? Like walking cool like this, how she does. She says, oh, what you whittling over there? And he goes, I'm not whittling. And she's like, your pocket knife was out and there's a bunch of wood. And he's like, no wood here. And then Carol from the other room says, "Same in here," because they do bits like that whenever they do an off-screen thing. And then Al's like, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "Oh, no need, honey. And then you worry about that later. I'll do your laundry." And she's like, "Hey, I'm not complaining about that." And then as about to push her out the door, she stops and she goes, "What smells like baby food?" And then he's like, go along.
Perfect. Okay, so then we repeat it. We got to go back to Cody.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the tree, and maybe he's like, "Hey, can someone toss me up a sandwich or something?" And it like hits him in the face.
Yeah.
And then maybe he tries to like chew it up and spit it into the birds.
Wait, is the bird hatched or not hatched? Because it's going to be very, very funny if it is unhatched.
That would be hilarious. It'd be like, "Here, so you can eat this when you get out of your egg."
Or it'll soak through the shell for nutrients.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And also it's easier if you're thinking from a TV perspective. If it were an actual like hatched baby bird, we wouldn't be able to show that at all. But you could show an egg.
I was going to say that earlier, just production wise. I think this is it. Mark comes out and he's like, "I developed like some like parachute system to like, hey, I learned how to shoot a potato in the sky and have a parachute on it. I have my little cannon." And he's like, "Awesome. What do you like? Thanks, dude. Z. Chaw. Like, what do you have?" And he goes, "Well, all I could find is Frank's extra hot, spicy buffalo wings." And he's like, "All right," shoots that into the sky. He eats it and he's like, "Ooh, that's hot." And then he spits it on the bird and he says, "You'll be able to eat it later and it'll also keep you warm."
That's perfect. Excellent. So then we've got Cody. He's still stuck in that tree. He's got this egg.
I think we should maybe also have a section where maybe he says like, after he says like it'll keep you warm, he goes, "Hey, Mark, I gotta, take a trip to the Tinkle train," some weird thing like that. You think you could hook me up with some doohickey so I can do that? And then just like it's still on him, and all of a sudden just like a hose gets thrown onto his face, implying like, "Oh, just pee in the hose and it'll like go down the tree."
Or like a bottle.
Yeah.
You can pee in a bottle. Perfect. So I also think at the end, because we got Cody in the tree, he's peeing in a bottle. Then we cut back inside. Again, Brendan is denying Frank's affections.
This time they're in the living room and he's trying to like use the remote I would bite on the remote so often as a child. I don't know why. I liked biting on things.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
And then
I sucked my thumb until I was 21 years old.
Whoa. Hell yeah, dude.
Okay, so he's using the remote.
Yeah.
And then maybe Frank comes in. He's like, "Brendan, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just testing out the remote." And Frank is like, kind of like, "Well, that's not how you use the remote. Here, you press here. This button is on and this button is off. And tell me what this number is." "That's right, it's 1. And Brendan's like, "Dad, I'm not a baby. I don't need to know the numbers. I just need a new tooth."
And then I think JT should also be there, or like he walks back into the room and he has like food and such, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, are you here to tell him to stop using the remote as a tooth? It just keeps changing the channel. I don't care what it's on, as long as it's on something for longer than 2 seconds."
I love that. And also so JT would say something like, when Frank is like, "See, what's this number? Number 1, and this is number 2. And JT would say something like, "And this is obnoxious," or something. He's like, "And this sucks," or whatever.
Or as like he says that, and then as Frank leaves the room, this would be like near the end of this scene, he goes, "Hey, Dad, that stuff with the remote, how come you never taught me that?" Implying that he just doesn't know numbers or how to do anything.
And so he'll say something like, "Well, you were a hopeless case to begin with." So, but this time, he goes out to his shed, right? He's like, "Oh, I gotta go." And then Carol comes into the room and is like, "JT, where's your father? I was looking for him." And JT is like, "He just went out to the shed." to teach his tools how to count or something like that. He's probably teaching his tools how to count.
Oh, yeah,
before he would teach me. And Carol goes and finds him in the shed. And this time she catches him with the baby.
Yeah.
And she's like, you got to know this is really messed up. And he's like, I know, I just, the thing you said about saving the teeth, it really got in my head. And I was thinking about how Brandon's not really a baby anymore. And I don't really know what to do. This is obviously before they have their kid together.
Yeah.
This episode takes place pre-Lily Foster Lambert.
Yeah. We are not, this is pre-season 4 season finale, okay?
Yeah.
This is also pre-season 6 when all of a sudden she's 5 years old.
So then, he's like, I just need a moment. I just need some time to think about this. And that's when he goes outside and starts talking to himself.
Okay. I do want, maybe it's a funny bit of him like talking to himself and then, this seems, what I'm about to pitch might be a little too on the head. As he's pondering to himself, does Cody crash through the ceiling of the garage?
I mean, that is funny, but I think it's
subtle and funnier.
Would love to, I was thinking at some point at the end of the episode, we'll have Cody from off screen be like, the bird hatched. It's flying away.
Yeah.
Goodbye, my son. Be free. So I don't know if I want him to fly out of the tree or fall out of the tree just yet, you know?
Instead of the baby bird hatched. Huh, wait, and I think its mom is coming. And then he's just like, no. Ah! And then you hear
he falls out of the tree.
Yeah, he falls out of the tree. And then, like many times, usually he's getting electrocuted. But this time he'll be like face smashed and like he comes through the door and he says some cheeky remark that we'll get into later.
You know what he'll say? He'll
up?
Be like, because this is the end of the episode. This is very end.
Yeah.
That he falls out of the tree. He's like, I think one of my teeth got knocked out.
Hell
and
yeah.
Brandon's like, I got a good replacement for you.
Yes.
Because at this point he found like jelly beans or something to use.
That's so good. And then, and then Dana could also say like some stupid remark like, well, I guess baby Cody didn't get his wings or something like that.
That's great. Especially because they threw hot wings at him earlier.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, and then he says, no, I did. They were spicy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the end. That's the last scene. Before that, we got to get this Frank talking to himself. So Frank is sitting there. He's out there. He's like, I've never really felt this way before, but I guess Brendan is my youngest child. Before I always thought I had someone younger to deal with, but now I guess I have to realize, like, not only is Brendan growing up, but I am too. And then Cody from the tree is like, Cha, you gotta know when to let it go.
Yeah, Uncle Frankie.
Yeah, Uncle Frank. You can't hang on to things too tight. Like with me and this baby bird. Once it hatches, I'm out of here. You gotta let him leave the nest or something like that.
And then Frank goes, wait, Cody, where are you? Because he knew early, but maybe he's like, you're still up in the tree?
Yeah.
We're in Wisconsin. It was 34 degrees last night.
He's like, I run a high internal temperature.
You have to when you live in a van. Also,
there you go.
Also, I ate some of your hot wings.
He's like, all right, but are you really going to be okay when that baby bird leaves the nest? And Cody's like, no, of course I'll miss it, but I'll always treasure my memories of me and this baby bird. Because just because someone has grown up doesn't mean you lose the time you had with them when they were your baby and you were caring for them. And Frank's like, yeah, I guess I can always cherish the baby that Brendan was while still cherishing the man he's growing into. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Cody. No problem, Uncle Frank. Hey, could I have another pee bottle?
Yeah, he says something like, asks for something stupid. And then you see JTL and maybe Dana run out really quick after, he says that like, oh, no, we can't trash it yet because then what's-her-face needs to, we'll get into that. So next scene is Carol coming into because what I wanted after it's revealed that he made something good for Brendan, he's not working on this weird branch doll.
Maybe he made a tooth for Brendan. A little wooden tooth.
But I like, that's actually good. He makes the wooden tooth to give to Brendan, and he's like, thanks, Dad. And then when Cody comes in, hands him the old, Cody's tooth, and he says, hey, Dad, I hope you're not upset with me, but I think I'm going to use Cody's tooth as a tooth. Less chance of getting splinters. And Frank's like, Brendan, I didn't, Bud, the intent wasn't for you to use that as a tooth. This was sentimental. Please don't put Cody's tooth in your mouth.
And Brendan walks away and he's like chewing. He's like, wait, what are you using to chew?
He pops a piece of gum in his mouth.
Yeah. So we have Frank's like, thanks, Cody. I'm going to go work on it. And then he goes back into his shed. Next scene is he's coming into the kitchen or whatever, and he's been working, and Carol's like, so, hey, are you still working on that Branchdon project? And Frank's like, no, I realized that I can't keep thinking about how Brendan used to be. I gotta appreciate him for who he is now. So to commemorate it, I made him this little, a little tooth. And Brendan's like, whoa, cool. You made this for me, Dad?
Well, I don't think, because I think they'll eventually go inside, because what I want is...
Yeah, this is inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking she would go out there and then he'd be like, I trashed that old thing, because I want Al, JT, and Dana to run in, because this is something they would do. Run in and be like, Dad, where's Branchin? And he's like, oh, I trashed that. I'm like, dang it. We wanted to make fun of you hardcore for doing that.
That's amazing.
Carol
so
told
he's
us
back
about
in
it.
his shed. Carol comes into the shed and she's like, oh, are you still working on it? He's like, no, I'm working on something else. And then the kids come in and they're like, were you still working? He's like, no, I'm working on something else. And he's like, here you go, Brendan, it's a little tooth for you.
Yeah.
And Brendan's like, wow, Dad, thanks. Finally gives him a hug. And Frank's like, oh, thank God I got a hug from my son.
Yep.
And that's
Fade
when
to
we hear
black.
Cody be like, whoa, the mom came back, or the bird's hatching, and the mom came back. And then he's like, oh, and she's not happy with me. She's like, and he says something like, oh, I took great care of your and then he crash.
Yeah.
He falls down. And everyone's just looking outside and with looks on their faces. Cody comes in, he's got twigs sticking out of his hair. He's covered in stuff. He's like, well, the baby bird's safe at last, but I think I lost a tooth or something.
Yeah. Spits it out.
And Brandon picks it up.
Yeah. And then we get the line from Dana. Oh, it looks like one baby bird hatched, but baby Cody didn't get his wings. And then he's like, no, I did last night.
Mark threw him up to me. Isn't that right? And Mark's like, I'm out of here. I got homework to do or something. Yeah. And that's when Brendan is like, Dad, I think I'm going to use Cody's tooth instead.
Yeah.
And then, so all the kids leave. We're left with Frank and Carol. And they're like, okay, I'm glad you figured that out. And she's like, now that we don't have any more babies to deal with, how about we focus on the baby making? And then he goes, ooh, and there's a laugh track, and then the episode ends.
No, I don't think it should end with that. It's like, ooh, let's go upstairs, and then the credits start, and then we have the ending scene where there's credits over it. Yeah.
You got to have that ending scene.
I think instead of them going upstairs to have sex, because this would go in with the baby, we no longer have a baby. Cody says like, oh man, I was up there so long, wasn't able to sleep, and I'm feeling really tired and woozy. Not only am I feeling woozy, I'm pretty tired right now. And then Carol and Frank look at each other and they're like, Cody, do not go to sleep. And then because he's concussed. And then they're like, we might not have a baby, but we have a Cody.
Oh, that's true. And then they're coddling him. They're like cuddling with him on the couch or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, why is the remote wet? Because it's still wet from Brendan chewing on it.
And then maybe Cody's like, hey, Uncle Frank, Aunt Carol, what's this? And they're like, that's the number 2.
I love it.
And there we go.
That's an episode, dude, record time.
Holy shit.
Record time we did this.
How?
I don't know. I thought this was going to be longer. I thought we were going to get lost at some point.
No, we kept chugging.
We're amazing. We're getting better every episode.
I'm just worried that this isn't a good episode now.
James, we wrote it.
All
it's
right.
fantastic.
Okay, there's a lot of
Not
good stuff.
only is it a good episode of TV, we're elevating the material by being our hilarious selves.
Okay, then with the extra time, let's throw in some alts of like Dana stuff.
Okay. Maybe Mark comes out, Mark's saying something like, George Washington had a set of wooden teeth or cow teeth or whatever. Ooh. He's got to say it to set Dana up, and Dana will be like, you can't possibly be comparing Cody or Brendan to George Washington or
He's
something like
more
that.
like an episode of Hee Haw, because the amount of times this 16, 15-year-old girl references Hee Haw on this show is absurd.
I don't know that show.
It was a sketch comedy show where it's just like a bunch of hillbilly bumpkins.
Oh, maybe I do know that show. Okay. So I'm trying to think of like where I was going with that. Oh, Karen will say something about George Washington like, he had great hair though. Mm-hmm. Like, how did he keep those curls intact or whatever? And JT's like, is anyone going to tell her it's a wig? Just let her believe it.
And then, okay, what other stuff were they doing in this episode we literally just wrote?
Yeah, I mean, they're shooting super soakers at...
Oh, that's what we need alts for. Absolutely. Yeah. What, like maybe a soda pun?
Or she says something like, I didn't mean to rain on your parade or whatever.
Yes. And then she's disgusted.
And then, yeah, Cody's talking about how like, all this... hydration, and I'm starting to have to use the potty. You know what they say, what goes up must come down. And that's when Dana's like, I'm out of here. I do not need to hear this.
Oh, and then she says, I don't know about things going down, but she says, well, if this goes down, my lunch is coming up.
Yeah, oh, that's so good. That's so Dana.
Yes! Oh, I hate her so much. Her hair is stupendous.
Yeah, her hair's fantastic.
In season 2 and 3, like, she's so bad. And then later on, she becomes just such a... maybe it's because Riot Girl was just happening, like third wave feminism was just currently going on, that she is so second wave feminism that it's disgusting. She's like, pro-sex feminism is so far out of her mind. She's calling everyone bimbos and easy. It's gross.
Yeah, come on, Karen. I do remember her saying something like, I'm pure. And Karen's only slept with like 15 guys.
Oh, yeah, to make Carol all like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the hee-haw, we got the up, down, don't rain on your parade. I was trying to think of things JT might have said, but I think we did pretty good with his stuff.
Oh, for sure. We got all the kids in there.
Yeah.
They're all saying things.
Brendan's talking like crazy.
Yeah, we got a Brendan-based episode. We got all 9 characters in there.
Yeah, we didn't even need a 10th.
We didn't even need a 10th, which is perfect.
Should we do like a ghost of Lily?
She comes from the future and she's like, beware.
Beware of the baby bird.
You will have a baby again. Don't worry, Frank. You'll have a baby in the future.
Oh, get vasectomized right now.
What? Why is she a ghost from the future? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's like Ghost of Future Past.
Ghost of Future. You're thinking X-Men, Days of Future Past.
Yeah, but also A Christmas Carol.
You're thinking Ghosts of Christmas Yet to Come.
Wait, no, that's a
Christmas
future?
Past, not a future past.
Yeah, it's all in there.
What? They should do an X-Men version of A Christmas Carol.
Oh, they probably did for the TV show.
Do you think so?
I bet they did. Every single thing has done A Christmas Carol. We should have done A Christmas Carol, and it's Carol.
And it's Carol. That would be an episode title. That certainly would be an episode title. There's another thing that we could throw in here, which is funny because right before we started recording, someone came to my door, and it was like 3 generations of girls. Like it was a little girl, a young woman who was like probably her mom, and an older woman who's probably the mom's mom. And they were like, can we share a Bible tract with you? And I was like, no. And so, but this show is like very Christian. Like a lot of sitcoms in the 90s were very Christian because everyone's got to be the overall morals are about like purity and saving yourself for marriage and fidelity and things like that. And then also I noticed that Dana is often wearing like cross-shaped earrings. So this is a Christian family, so we can throw in stuff about Jesus all the time.
Well,
you know?
I will
And
have to
purity.
say half of them are. There is an episode, and it's the only time religion's really ever brought up, where the Fosters are a every Sunday churchgoer, and the Lamberts just watch football, and their breakfast this family breakfast for morning that Frank hand makes is just Hostess snacks thrown at his children.
Yeah, because there was an episode where he was cooking and then Carol tried it and it was horrible. So I imagine that he doesn't cook very much. It's such a 90 day fiance. It's such a 90s thing for like the man to not be able to do any household chores or work. Like it's so, and like he can't even cook a meal or something.
Yeah.
And he's like a dad who just he's the fun guy, you know, he's not the taking care of the home guy.
For that specific, the throwing Hostess snacks at his kids, I take that more as he was a single dad for years, and that's just more so. But no, as a single father, he should have learned how to cook. Or maybe all he was doing was like, I'm grilling 365 children.
You want a grilled Twinkie?
Yeah, and on the days that it's, 30 below in Port Washington, Wisconsin, we'll just order pizza.
Perfect. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's anything we really need to add to this episode at this point. I think we're good to go.
Okay, let's just, maybe Cody says, he's like, the bird's about to hatch, and maybe he's like exhausted, and he's like, guys, I don't think I can make it. And then he's like, wait, is that an angel in the sky to take me to heaven? And it's the bird, the mother bird, coming to
the
peck
mother
him.
bird. And then, because we don't see it, he says, is that an angel in the sky? And that's when we cut back inside and are with the Foster Lambert family. And then we hear him from outside fall down after being attacked by the bird.
And he's like,
yeah, that's perfect.
He's like, I didn't know angels could send you to hell. And he says, but I'm pure.
Have you heard of a little man named Lucifer?
Yeah. Fallen angel.
There you go.
Angel of music.
Sing to me, angel of music.
Ooh.
Well, we did it, James. Are you proud of yourself?
I am. I love this episode already, and I know R2's gonna smooth it on out.
I am. I have decided that whenever I write out the transcript or whenever I write out the episode for these, I get to reward myself with a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
Ooh.
So I'm looking forward to that Ben & Jerry's ice cream I'm going to eat after I write this out.
I say, hey, get this edited, and then on Friday you can get stoned all day.
I mean, I do that every day.
Well, I gotta stay focused because I need money, and that's how you get money, by staying focused.
Exactly. Got to get that bread. Got to take care of your baby bird. Get your nest egg. There we go.
And speaking of nest eggs, hey, patreon.com/MLM pod, where we're celebrating a new patron. That's right. It's my old friend Chris the Fed, aka That Fedder. He joined. He's a $10 patron. He's going to have fun along with some other people I'll shout out later. Oh, baby. $5 a month. You get exclusive content every single Friday. But, whoa, what's that in the distance? Oh, my God. The $10 patrons get monthly content as well as the $5 stuff, and shout outs on every single free feed podcast. So let's begin with those, starting with Steve F., Eric Berry of Ranger Command Power Hour, Alex Z, the Waz, Orion, he's a rapper, Defo, D-F-O, Kayla, AK2 Grapes, Jordan B, the Chaos Witch, my friend Steve Barnes of Sweet Child of Time and Sweet Child of 1899, my mother, the womb in which I came out of, and she still owns all my teeth. Even the teeth in my head. She says, hey, you want to know what? This body autonomy, your body, your choice, whatever, as long as it's not the teeth. She still owns mine. That's why I still have my wisdom teeth in, and I should not have them. She says, no, it's on my terms, bitch. I'm kidding. I just need to go to the dentist. Lil Corey's BFF and roommate Shane and that fad. Ooh, and guys, this Friday, the 13th in January, a big ol' announcement and maybe a new single coming your way from Marshland Monster. Be on the lookout. MLMpod.com.
I can't wait for that. If you would like to support me and not James, go ahead and check out my other podcast, The Rom Complex, available wherever you listen to podcasts. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/The Rom Complex. Got a great little bonus episodes in there, and we're adding more stuff this year. You can also come find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/R2Shelby2. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 Pacific. So come on over. I also sometimes do other days and the weekends where when I dance. It's a fun time. I really like doing it. So come check out the stream.
You got a big shout out. We talked about the Rom Complex for a lengthy amount of time on This Existed while discussing the Flintstones on the Rocks, because it's like Fred and Wilma are almost like they're about to get a divorce in this TV special. And of course, we're devolving into like giving relationship advice. And I'm like, you want to know what? When I was on the Rom Complex, I'm just like talking like a maniac for an hour about Dudley Do Right. And then we get to this like, hey, and what's like relationship advice? And then I just like do sincere relationship advice, and then you two have to say, oh, wait, James has been in a relationship all this decade, so like what he is saying is actually good. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, we had to assure everyone, even though you talked about Dudley Do Right from a romantic perspective, James actually does know how to be in a relationship, everybody.
I'm good at it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, James, this has been a treat. I definitely couldn't have done this without you.
Oh, yeah. What's next month?
Oh, I have a few options. I actually wrote down a few options.
Okay.
So I will decide on those privately.
Oh, okay. I thought like,
unless you want me
end.
to read you the options that I wrote down.
Yeah, let's do it. This is content for the people.
Great. So I was thinking about shows. I was thinking what would be very formulaic and easy to do. Number 1, Blue's Clues.
Holy shit, I love Blue's Clues so much. Watch it while falling asleep. It's so cozy.
Yeah, I mean, it's so formulaic. It would be so easy to do a wacky episode of Blue's Clues.
I don't even need to watch an episode of Blue's Clues. I know the formula.
Yeah, I mean, everyone does. You got the clues. You got mail from the mailbox. You blue skidoo into a picture. You got it. So Captain Planet is another option. Home Improvement, which might be too much like Step by Step, but
I would love to do it though.
Okay, and then the last one I thought of is a little show. It's actually a docu-series called I Shouldn't Be Alive. So we could come up with a fake someone almost dies scenario.
Okay, I'm so glad. Because I was like, maybe could we do The Simple Life? Could we do reality shows that are very
totally.
Okay, hell yeah. I think we do Blue's Clues, and then we go to that last thing you said.
I Shouldn't Be Alive?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm also holding on to, we got to do Yogi Bear at some point. I know you want to do it.
And specifically Yogi's laugh arc, I believe, or Yogi's gang, the one where it's like, hey, take a social issue that we can teach to kids. It's very Captain Planet-y because there's a pollution demon, there's Professor Bigotry, things of that ilk where like, hey, I have a bigotry ray. I'm going to shoot it at Yogi and he hates humans now. Then I'm going to shoot it at this human and he's going to hate animals now.
Wow. Bigotry? I was thinking like plastic versus paper straws.
No, there's some stuff like that.
All right, great. Well, this has been another episode of Formulaic.
Oh, and I've been James.
And I've been Shelby.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Marshland Media
and OK Owl production.
Produced by me, James McCollum.
And me, Shelby Sweeterman.
For more content, please visit MLMpod.com.
Or OKOwl.com.
And for the best way to support this podcast, please visit patreon.com/MLMpod, where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content every single week. Thank you very much for listening. Oh, yeah.